Good evening, everybody. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. It's July 30th, 2024, and I have to start over again because as I was recording, one of my phone alerts alerted me to the time, and it immediately turns off the camera. So I'm going to start over. For anybody that didn't attend the chat last night, it was impromptu, and some people have asked me if I could do more chats, more lives. And, I am going to consider it maybe once or twice a month. And somebody suggested Saturday. That's the best day for me, too. So it would probably be after 10 p.m. on a Saturday. And mostly because I've got to get my animals in and eat, etc., etc. But for those of you who didn't end up in the chat, I think we had a perp there. I think I'm not going to mention his name, but there was another person, a targeted person in the chat who was questioning him also, like how long you targeted, etc. And he was asking me just really bizarre questions like, do I like mushy peas? And do I buy chicken in a can? What do I do for work? Like, how do I make money? Bizarre questions like this. I don't know who this person is, but anyway, we'll just alert you to that if anybody goes into the chat playback, which I have not done yet. I also addressed the fact that every targeted person needs to have some emergency contacts in their phone in different time zones, just in case something happens. And the reason is one of our YouTube creators and targeted people, Jeff the American Guinea Pig Cash Cow, has been missing for 3 months. He hasn't posted a video. I reached out to another targeted female who was friendly with him. She couldn't contact him, so if anybody knows where he is or what he's doing or if he's okay, just give a shout out and let me know. I also read a small portion of the beginning of the book, Transhuman Genocide, The Enemy at the Gate, The Ultimate Guide to Directed Energy Weapons. Now, when I purchased this book, I had no idea it would be this huge. It's like 14 by 12 by like 3 inches deep. But the fortunate thing is it's spaced really well. I don't even need to wear glasses to read this. It's double spaced, double lines. So I'll be reading a little bit more from this because it looks really interesting. But somebody asked me about Robert Duncan's book, Project Soulcatcher 1, and I can't find it. I searched, I cannot find it anywhere. I remember seeing one copy of it on eBay months ago. I should have bought it. I think it was over $100. I said, I'm not spending that money on a book. Like, I remember back in graduate school, I had to spend that kind of money on textbooks, and I am not going to spend that money on a book, but I cannot find it. It's not on eBay. It's nowhere. And sometimes when these books go out of stock, it's because they're not being published anymore. That could have been deliberate on his part. He may have been bribed about not publishing it again. Because why wouldn't there be new copies, on Amazon, just like Project Soulcatcher 2 and How to Tame a Demon, etc. So, anyway, so I'm going to read, starting from page 50 on Project Soulcatcher 2, Volume 2, Secrets of Cyber and Cybernetic Warfare, Declassified, Robert Duncan and the Mind Hacking Strategy Group. Page 150, The ABCs of Enhanced Interrogation and Torture. There is no rest for the wicked. A rough boy, CIA interrogator and brainwashing expert said to me during sleep deprivation experiments, an interviewed American Caucasian male torture and behavior modification experiment, testimony 2006. Could you imagine that an interrogator is telling this guy there is no rest for the wicked, that he's wicked? That's why they're depriving him of sleep and brainwashing him that he's wicked. Experimental interrogation and behavior modification techniques. You do what they taught you. They do what they told you. You do what they torture. Rage Against the Machine. Physical torturers in the U.S. have traditionally been called rough boys. Euphemisms in the DoD, which is the Department of Defense, and the CIA are traditional. Changing the language of torture each as modern-day enhanced interrogations or experimental interrogation helps the general populace sleep at night without knowing what they're really supporting. Extraction of information involves breaking down the will of the subject, confusing and tricking them. Let's quickly cover some of the basics. The use of sodium pentothal, LSD, BZ, benzodiazepines, I believe that's what that is. Henbane, I don't know what that is. Scopolamine, which I discussed in one of my videos about a powder that they use in other countries specifically to target tourists. The tourists will pass out, they'll steal all of their belongings and have no memory of what happened. And many other drugs created by the TSS Chemical Division helps to confuse the target and or instill fear in them. During physical or remote renditions, making time appear to pass faster through sleep deprivation and memory erasing techniques allows the interrogator to use falsely dated newspapers, sleep alteration in isolation, and accelerated clocks to try to get the subject to brag about an event before it actually happens. They include trickery and false confessions verbally. Using voice transformation and video-altered tapes helps in this process. In a sleep-deprived state or drug-induced haze, doppelgangers of people whom the target recognizes are used to extract information. A doppelganger is a mythological shapeshifter taking on appearances of other people. In psychology, it is an illness where a person believes that the real people have been possessed or substituted. In information extraction, it is really done by masks and voice transformation using speech samples of the real people. In wireless renditions, potentially people around the target are being mind controlled.